Some shadows are just shadows. Others hold secrets that were never meant to be found. Welcome to Shadow Pit Mysteries, where every silence hides a warning and every clue takes you closer to the darkness. The stories you'll hear aren't just tales. They're invitations to step into the unknown. The truth is waiting, but the shadows, they're waiting too. Let's begin.
The Mark of Silence, a mystery story by Grave Pit Shadows. The school building was eerily quiet after hours, the fluorescent lights flickering faintly in the empty hallway. Mrs. Kimberly Harper, a beloved literature teacher, lay lifeless at her desk. Her hands were folded neatly over her chest, a black feather dipped in crimson ink resting in her palm. The scene was unnervingly pristine, as though the killer had taken great care in crafting a macabre masterpiece. Detectives Rachel Mills and James Davenport arrived, their presence bringing an air of urgency to the stillness. "It's been 10 years, Davenport muttered, staring at the feather. "This can't be real." Mills's sharp eyes scanned the room. "If it's a copycat, they're doing an exceptional job, but something tells me this isn't an imitation." The investigation began immediately, but no immediate leads emerged. The feather, a hallmark of the notorious Silent Requiem, was identical to those left a decade ago. The killer had resurfaced. The morning sunlight filtered through the blinds in Rachel Mills's bedroom as she zipped up her suitcase, her movements purposeful but tinged with excitement. A pair of plane tickets sat neatly on the dresser, the names Mills and Davenport printed clearly on them. It was going to be their first vacation in years, a week in the mountains, far away from the noise of the city and the endless demands of their jobs. "You really think we'll survive a week off the grid?" James Davenport's voice broke the silence as he leaned against the doorway, a cup of coffee in hand. He smirked, clearly amused by the idea. "You'll survive," Mills replied without looking up, a smirk playing on her lips. "No cell service, no cases, just snow, quiet, and maybe relaxation." Davenport raised an eyebrow. "Relaxation? You? I'll believe it when I see it." Mills shot him a mock glare. "Keep that up and you'll be spending the week alone in the snow." As they shared a laugh, Davenport's phone buzzed insistently on the nightstand. Mills immediately pointed at it. "No, we're not answering that." "What if it's important?" Davenport asked, already reaching for the phone. "It's always important," Mills said, exasperated. But as her own phone began to vibrate in her pocket, she froze. "Oh no." Reluctantly, she answered. "Mills." A familiar voice greeted her. "Rachel, it's Captain Monroe. We've got a situation, and you're going to want to see this." Mills closed her eyes and took a deep breath, her shoulders sinking slightly. "What is it?" "A murder. Well, let's just say it's something we haven't seen in a long time," Monroe said, his tone grim. "Text me the address," Mills said, hanging up and turning to Davenport. "Let me guess," he said, already reaching for his coat. "Vacation's cancelled." Mills nodded, grabbing her own coat and her badge. "Looks like we're trading snow and silence for another case." As they walked out the door, Davenport couldn't resist adding, "Be careful what you wish for." Back at the precinct, Mills and Davenport pored over the files from the Silent Requiem's original spree. 7 victims, over 2 years, each murder accompanied by a cryptic verse and a black feather. The killer had vanished after the 7th victim, leaving an unfinished stanza in their poetic pattern. "It's like they're picking up right where they left off," Davenport said, his brow furrowed. "But why now?" Mills's finger traced the final verse. "Maybe they were waiting for something, or someone." A visit to the retired lead detective from the original case yielded little insight, but the veteran warned, "If this is the Silent Requiem, they're not done. They're a perfectionist, and perfectionists don't leave things unfinished." The second murder was as elaborate as the first. At an upscale art gallery, renowned painter Marcus Leroux was found dead, his body draped over his latest work. A single black feather rested on his easel, and a verse was scrawled in crimson paint across the canvas. A storm silenced by greed. The canvas bleeds. The gallery's security footage revealed nothing but static during the time of the murder. Witnesses reported hearing faint piano music, but no one saw anything unusual. Another connection to the arts, Mills noted, her mind racing. The killer's making a statement. Mills and Davenport began identifying subtle connections between the victims. Both Harper and Leroux had ties to a now-defunct charity organization called Haven's Hope. The charity had been embroiled in an embezzlement scandal a decade ago, leading to its quiet dissolution. A journalist named Victoria Langford approached Mills with a lead. Haven's Hope wasn't just a charity, she said. It was a front for something much darker. The Silent Requiem might be more than a killer. They could be exposing secrets. Before Mills could press for details, Langford vanished. The next murder took place during a community theater performance. The victim, lead actor Daniel Crest, was discovered backstage, posed dramatically as though mid-scene. The black feather was pinned to his costume, and another verse was etched into the stage floor. A curtain drawn. The truth is gone. Among the theater's props, the detectives found an old flyer for Haven's Hope, hidden beneath a stack of scripts. The charity's connections to the victims were becoming undeniable. A package arrived at the precinct addressed to Mills. Inside was a single black feather and a note. "Do you hear the silence growing?" The same day, Davenport's name appeared in a document tied to Haven's Hope. It revealed that he had briefly volunteered for the charity years ago. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mills demanded. "Because I barely remember it," Davenport said defensively. "I was a college kid looking for credits." The revelation created tension between the partners, but they knew they couldn't afford distractions. The detectives located a former board member of Haven's Hope, now living under a different name. The board member, Charles Durham, was found barely alive, attacked by the killer. Before succumbing to his injuries, Durham whispered, "They knew, we all knew, but no one stopped it." Durham's cryptic words hinted at a massive cover-up involving Haven's Hope. Financial records and emails uncovered in his home suggested the charity had been a front for laundering money and covering up crimes. The next victim was a popular talk show host, Elaine Reeves, who had recently alluded to investigating Haven's Hope on air. Her murder was chillingly public, discovered during a live broadcast. The black feather was taped to her microphone. A videotape left at the scene showed shadowy figures discussing the charity's illicit dealings. Among the voices, Mills recognized a familiar cadence. One of the speakers sounded like Davenport. For the first time, the Silent Requiem broke their silence with a public message. A distorted voice read lines from their unfinished poem, promising that the final symphony would reveal the full truth. The message included a cipher, which Davenport decoded to reveal the location of the abandoned opera house where the next act would unfold. At the opera house, Mills and Davenport found a chilling scene. Mannequins representing the victims, each holding a black feather. Empty spaces marked for upcoming victims included Mills herself. While searching the building, they discovered a hidden room with documents implicating several high-ranking officials. The Silent Requiem's motives became clear. They were seeking vengeance for those silenced by Haven's Hope. The final confrontation took place on the grand stage of the opera house, where the Silent Requiem had prepared a deadly trap. The killer appeared, cloaked in darkness and masked to conceal their identity. They recited the final stanza of their poem, a truth veiled in silence, now brought to light. The guilty will perish beneath the night. Mills and Davenport tried to reason with them, unraveling the pain and betrayal that had driven the killer to this point. The Silent Requiem revealed themselves to be a former victim of Haven's hope, someone whose life had been destroyed by the charity's corruption. The tension boiled over into a violent standoff. Davenport managed to disarm the killer, but not before they triggered a series of explosives rigged throughout the opera house. As the building began to collapse, Mills and Davenport narrowly escaped with the damning evidence against Haven's hope. In the aftermath, the Silent Requiem was apprehended, but remained unrepentant. Their actions had exposed a web of corruption, forcing the powerful figures behind Haven's hope to face justice. Mills and Davenport stood together, watching as the opera house smoldered in the distance. "Snow and silence," Davenport murmured, shaking his head. "Maybe next time." Mills smirked. "If there is a next time." Another story has ended, but the darkness still calls. Did you uncover the truth? Or did it uncover you? Shadow Pit Mysteries will return with more tales to keep you questioning, and more shadows to keep you looking over your shoulder. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, so you never miss the next chapter. Until then, stay vigilant. The next mystery might already be waiting for you.